Not going to lie, I'm a financial loser. 27 years old, two credit cards that went into collection. My car got repossessed in 2023 after a job loss. I'm driving a 30-year-old car with 305,000 miles on it, and it's starting to have issues. I graduated in May of this year in cybersecurity, and I can't even find a basic help desk job. I have $35,000 in student loans with nothing to show for it. I deliver pizzas at a local store, and I'm barely making $2,000 a month. I'm tired of being like this. It feels like every single decision I've made in my life feels wrong. My credit score is 503. I don't have a strong support system for my family outside of my mom. No close friends, no career, no partner, nothing. Anna, you and I last week talked about somebody being, I think it was 49, and having made some decisions. Now we're going to talk about a 27-year-old who feels to be in a desperate spot. What were your takeaways and some advice?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to hear stories like this that are pretty common actually. If people actually told you the state of their finances and their situations, and it is hard our economy's hard. Lots and lots of people. I've seen statistics hovering around 70% live check to check. A lot of younger people right now, more higher unemployment for new college grads, I think, than any time in history right now. And
Mhm.
so one of the things that is really important to say as we kind of dissect each of these things is, one, this is a current point of time. And there's a lot of things that are going into a current point of time that don't mean that this is how it's going to be forever. So you
Yeah.
first have to take a deep breath. I would say take a deep breath and realize that, yes, times are hard. Yes, you've got some challenges. Yes, it's hard to find a job. But know that this is a point in time and that you're not alone. You're not the only one that's like this. You're not a loser. You might have made some poor decisions in racking up credit card debt, or you might have done it by necessity because you're in college and you didn't have a job. And so don't beat yourself up as to where you are today, but start to take a deep breath and say, okay, I'm 27. I've got my whole life ahead of me. And the economy is in a place that's hard for most people right now, unless you're already wealthy or, doing pretty well. You're in that upper middle class or higher range. And so it's important to, when we're in a hard situation, we always feel like we're the only one. Like, I'm the only one going through this, especially if you don't have a strong support network, or you're too embarrassed to tell people where you are. So first of all, I applaud you for writing in, for
Mhm.
saying I am struggling, and for asking for help, because it's really important to do. So with that said, recognize that the economy is hard right now. And so you're not alone, but you do have agency and you do have the ability to make some choices. And so anytime you're in a financial bind, you basically have two categories of choices. So we want to break this down into small bites of the apple, right? They say, how do you eat an elephant? You take one bite at a time. If you look at the whole elephant, you're going to be overwhelmed. And a lot of
Mhm.
people just give up because they're overwhelmed. So you have to say, let's take this one bite at a time and let's look at the easy things to do. And the first thing to do, other than just saying, okay, tomorrow can be better, and you have to believe that. And you and I've done a couple of talks about getting wealthy and getting out of debt. And the first thing is believing that tomorrow can be better. Frame your morning every day with, I have hope. Tomorrow's going to be better. Now, what am I going to do to make tomorrow better? And then you take agency. And the first thing is, getting out of debt and getting ahead requires two things. One, living below your means. The way that you live below your means is you either increase your income or you decrease expenses. And it really comes down to that formula. Make more, spend less. It's easy sometimes to make more. It's not easy in certain economies to make more, and so you have to spend less. So the first thing I would do is look at your expenses. No one's going to be wealthy by just cutting your expenses, but nobody can get wealthy unless you consider cutting your expenses and the things that you don't need, the things that are discretionary. So, for example, are you paying for cable? Are you paying for an expensive phone plan? Um, If you are, maybe you have to cut out cable for a while. Maybe you totally disconnect it. Maybe you go to a less expensive, phone plan, those kind of things. If you're eating out every day, you're going to Starbucks every day. When I was in a very similar age as you, I was 24. I was going to Starbucks twice a day. And I realized I was blowing a few $100s a month, a few $1,000s a year on my Starbucks habit. So buy a coffee maker, make your own coffee at home, cut out the Starbucks habit. Buy food at home, prep your food, take it with you, cut out the sitting down, the fast food, the tips, things like that. It's amazing how many people actually spend way more than they think they do because they don't have a budget. So get on a budget, cut your expenses. And then the second part, and we can dive into lots of things about this. We did a video on this, I think last week or the week before, is figure out what you can be paid for outside of just your job. And so one thing you just said was you're working delivering pizzas. That's great. Anything that you can do, applaud yourself that you've taken the initiative that while you're waiting for that dream job, that right job, you find something else to make you money. Is there something else you can do? Another side hustle, Uber Eats, selling something. If you've been through school, could you tutor students that have gone through the degree that you're going through right now? Figure out what you're good at and a service that the world needs that they'll pay for, and try to monetize that in any way that you can with your extra time. And don't waste time. You're going to have to basically essentially go all in and say, my number one job today is to make more money and cut my expenses. And that means you don't have the luxury of wasting time. And I'm not saying that you're doing this as a 27-year-old, but I have a 22-year-old, right? And he's graduated college and he has the job, but he still spends some good time. He works out, he prioritizes health. He's doing a lot of good things, but he still spends time playing video games with his friends at night. I'm like, you could be listening to podcasts, getting smarter. You get burnout after college. I know you don't want to listen to a lot of stuff, but are you investing your time into getting ahead, or are you wasting your time, just like you're wasting your dollars, into things that are not productive and not going to help you out of your situation? Financial stress is hard and it sucks, but it usually takes people about 10 years of a lot of sacrifice and purposeful investing in themselves and their future and cutting expenses for a decade to really get to a place that you are going to be comfortable. And it's hard. It's not easy, but it's not that complicated. And so take a real reality check. And just like you're going to put down your budget of your finances, I want you to do a budget of your time, inventory. Where am I spending my time every day for a week? And write down, where am I investing it? Where am I spending it doing things I have to, like going to work? And where am I wasting it? And you need to cut out just about every place that you are wasting time, just like you're going to cut out almost every place that you're wasting money. And then you're going to allocate just a certain amount to, this is for me to have fun and enjoy life, because that's important. You have to have fun and enjoy life, and you're going to spend a little money and time doing that. But get real with yourself and ask yourself the hard questions of, life is hard. Do I want it to be this kind of hard for the next decade? Or am I going to invest in myself and have a different kind of hard for the next decade so that I really see progress? And then by the time I'm 37, I'm doing really, really well and really, really proud of myself for the steps and actions I've taken.
Yeah, when I read this, knowing that we were going to talk about it today, I was struck with so many things. So it's really hard for me to kind of go, start. There's a lot. Yeah. So the first thing I would start, and I think you brought this up with agency, is simply taking the time to write that down. Means, in my opinion, you're ahead of most people.
Yeah.
Right. Most people won't take the time to recognize where they are. Right. You said earlier, 70% of people live check to check. I think most of those people don't even know they live check to check. Right. There's something to be said for kind of putting it all out there in black and white where you are at the moment. Right. There's kind of extreme ownership. And I believe that's where it all starts. And this individual clearly has done that. So, I want to give you kudos for doing that, right? Because I think that's where it all starts.
Yeah.
And the second thing I want to tell you is I think you even said it in there, you feel helpless. But I just want you to know that plenty of 60 and 70-year-old millionaires would trade places with you in a minute, right? You're 27, right? You have arguably 80 to 100 years ahead of you. And oh, by the way, let's not forget, one line in there that's not a throwaway is you have a college degree in cybersecurity.
Yes.
I could not imagine a better degree, picking one out of a hat,
Mm-hmm.
right? That is something that's not only hot now, but will be hot for decades to come.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it seems like you're having a hard time finding a job, right? Can't even find a help desk job. And the one thing that, wasn't in the note, but I'm going to guess is you might need to move, right? I
Yeah, I
don't know where
just
you
thought of
are.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where you are in the country, but there are clearly cybersecurity jobs all over the country in big cities, or even the world, right? That's the beauty. That's the beauty of being 27 with no liabilities, right? Think about it. You could go to an English speaking country like Costa Rica,
Mm-hmm.
or heck, the Philippines, or I'm just, any of those. You could get dude, having a cybersecurity degree in one of those countries, you'd live like a king,
Mm.
right? So sometimes we just got to look, open our eyes and think a little different. So I think, I would at least evaluate moving,
Yeah,
right? You don't have a relationship, you don't have all these things. It
absolutely.
might be time to move.
Mm.
Um, and then the last thing I would tell this person is, again, you're struggling to find work. So back to auditing your time. You already have this amazing degree, cybersecurity. I would be spending an hour or two a day learning artificial intelligence around cybersecurity,
Yeah.
and tie those two red hot subjects
Mm.
together. And then to your point, you could create some how-to guides or some, 101 stuff. And pretty soon you're selling online stuff for $49 and it's just a download. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's the beauty of today. It's never been easier to generate revenue or income.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I would tell you to, you know, okay, congratulations. You wrote down all the bad stuff. Now look up and write a second paragraph about all the amazing stuff. You're 27. You have your health. You have your mom. You have a cybersecurity degree. You have flexibility to move. There are so many things going for you. Stop beating yourself up for stuff that already happened. You already lost a car. Who cares? You already have 2 cards in collection. Who cares? Those are
Yeah.
past decisions. Put a stake in the ground. Look forward.
Absolutely. I love that because it really, most successful people are not successful because they had it all figured out and they had a really smooth ride. Most people are not born with a silver spoon in their mouths. And in fact, most of the people that are born with a silver spoon in their mouth might start out doing well because they have the connections, but they never usually, meet that like super successful high achiever. I was in a book, about super achievers and success habits of super achievers, and that's a great book. I don't get paid anything, I'm just an author, but a great book to read and just go look at what was it about people that made them really successful as a super achiever in their line of work. And I can tell you the number one thing I read through about 50 stories was grit and resilience. And grit and resilience come from struggle, from people that said, life sucks right now. I
Yeah.
don't see a way forward. I don't know how I am going to achieve, even mediocrity, much less success. But what they all had, Michael, was this determination that I am going to make tomorrow better and I'm going to get through this. And enough optimism and enough belief in yourself, even if it's just the tiniest bit of optimism and belief in yourself and determination, that they said, I am not going to be stuck here. I'm going to take a step forward and figure out the next step and then the next step and the next step. And resilience is this ability, almost like a buoy. It's buoyancy. If you think about, I grew up water skiing. And so you ski over the buoys and, when they go down under the water and they pop back up, and they go down in the water and they pop back up. And so the ability to be pulled down over and over and over and pop back up over and over and over, that is really the thing that separates people that stay stuck and those that become successful in some way. So develop your grit and resilience muscles. And maybe that starts out with daily, prayer and affirmation, like, God, help me to have wisdom to figure out the next thing. Those affirmations, Michael, you said, list the good things, not just the bad things. Because again, you see all the bad things and you get overwhelmed, and most people are anxious and then they just get stuck and they don't take an action. Write down the positive things you have going for you, those daily affirmations that you have your legs. And I don't mean to diminish how hard it is, but I have a brother that was just paralyzed and he's lost his legs. And I think, gosh, that's really hard. So many people take for granted the ability to just walk. I broke my ankle a couple of years ago. I couldn't walk without pain for a year and a half. It was devastating, but I could take those steps. And so be thankful you are able-bodied and you have the ability to get up every day and go pound the pavement and find ways to figure it out, and remind yourself of your blessings and the good things you have going for yourself. And then, I have determination. Now it's just educating yourself. And one last thing to piggyback off something you said that I think is so important, Michael, for young people today. We have more opportunity today on the internet than we have had, when you and I were growing up and our grandparents growing up, and everybody's had a different type of heart in their generation, right? But you have access to so much information today that the fact that you said, hey, go out and get a certificate on AI. There is a website, and I can't remember what it is right now, but they have courses all over that you can go on the internet and buy. When my son was getting his finance degree, he went on and he took some advanced calculations on finance. He took many courses and got little certifications on underwriting multifamily deals and things that I was teaching him, but he could go get a certificate for it. And don't say, oh, it just came from a certificate from an online thing. It doesn't matter. Anything you can add to your resume today to stand out and say, hey, I went out, he did some courses on certain servers and softwares that's used by hedge fund companies to, do their calculations. So just going in and showing that you are going to do one more thing than the other college graduate that came out with cybersecurity. You're going to now say, I also took independent learning courses on X, Y, Z, and have all these certifications. That one thing alone can make you stand out amongst those others, that allows you to have that leg up at the top of your resume so that you can eventually get that job. And then once you make more money, all these other smaller problems about credit and paying off credit cards, they tend to go away. So invest your time into any kind of course that you can find to advance your education, and then make you have more education than the next person down. And then you can train them on those things and create your own courses. Like you said, I love that piece of advice, because that's the kind of thinking outside the box that you've got to be able to do to really, get somewhere where it otherwise would take you a longer period of time.
Yeah, my kind of closing thoughts on this one is, there was a wonderful TED Talk. I wish I remembered her name, but she talks about the number one indicator for success. And it's not intelligence, it's not looks, it's not this, it's grit.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you, as a 27-year-old, you are staring in the face of a building grit era.
Yeah.
Acknowledge it, love it, learn from it. And then finally, I believe social media could either be the gas pedal or the brake for your success. And if you're watching other doom-based things and fear and people stealing hope and life's impossible and woe is me, you're going to believe that crap. So I would be hyper-focused on only motivational videos or humor or something. You do not need any more negativity. The past is the past. Own it, move on, and let's start building some grit. Let's get the grit muscle going. And if you could build that at 27, 28, 29, you're going to be a monster.
Yeah.
Right. Joe Rogan talks about it being, or I don't remember if it was Rogan, it might've been somebody else. Dana White, I think, said it is so easy to beat people today. Right. There are just people that work harder, and you don't even have to be a savage anymore to win. Right. Yeah. Your generation is soft. You have the ingredients to be a monster. Just go get it.
Yeah. Love it. It's the most important thing. Grit for sure.
Yeah. Anna, where can people find you?
Great. You can find me here on social media at Anna Kelly, REI Mom. And for real estate wealth coaching and consulting, you can book an appointment with me at AnnaKellyInvesting.com.
Thank you so much. Have a great week.